We are actually fourth dimensional beings in a third dimensional body inhabiting a second dimensional world. Neil Cassidy. Good morning, everyone. So there are going to be some people who will tout that we've all been created. They know the creator. And there are those who would say, no, everything started from nothing. And the ones who say that we've been created by a creator, well, can't have a creator being created by something else. Now, and that they would have to exist outside the laws of physics. Same thing with the Big Bang. You have to start with something that's outside the boundaries of the laws of physics. Now, let's get to something different. How about, with something that doesn't defy the laws of physics, doesn't have to have an external deity to create what is here. And create is a very interesting word. For example, a shadow. We all create shadows. Anything that is an object in this earth casts a two-dimensional shadow. Always a two-dimensional shadow. A light source, just get something that provides a light source, shine it on something on the other side, you'll see a shadow. Now, did you create the shadow? Does the shadow create itself? But the idea of a shadow, was that created by you? No. The idea of a shadow has always been in existence. So, and this is in part largely thanks to Flat Earth, which you'll see around quite often. Maybe not on my channel, but you probably listen to him over on Nathan Oakley's channel, and I think Nathan Oakley banned him too. But the idea that we've always been here isn't really a new concept. It's just been a concept that's being reformulated and brought back. And who ended up... let's see, I need a switch. Who ended up showing all of this? Let's see, I don't need... There we go. Hold on. I need to know which one I'm going to choose. Zoom meet, not Firefox browser. The Zoom meeting, main monitor. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. So Plato, if you listen to the allegory of the cave, you'll notice that he describes our three-dimensional world and how it relates to the two-dimensional. And so basically people inside a cave who are slaves are faced towards a cave wall where there is a torchlight that shines behind them, and they see all these shadows that are passing in front of it projected onto the cave wall, and they spend most of their time just describing what it is that they see on the cave wall. And what they see on the cave wall are two-dimensional shadows. And these two-dimensional shadows, they cannot see. They can't really turn around to see what it is. They just face towards the cave wall. Now, one of these slaves gets freed and turns around and sees the object. One of the objects that they see cast onto cave wall and goes, whoa, that's what it really is. Sees the torch and sees the light source and goes, oh, that's what's causing the shadows to be seen on the cave wall. And all these people who are walking in front of the torch, and animals like mice, and all the noises that they make, and he's just kind of wowed. It's like, wow, I only thought the stuff on the cave wall was reality, and I didn't know that there was something else that was projecting itself onto that cave wall. So he goes up out of the cave and he experiences the world that we see. We see the sun, we see trees, we still see shadows cast upon it from the light source of the sun, and just grass, and just he's just amazed. The sky, I mean, it's just a whole new world for this slave. So the slave goes back down and decides to tell all his other slave friends, and all the other slave friends are telling him, wow, you just went crazy. What's wrong with you? And it's like, why are you talking about all this crazy nonsense? And then the other slaves are still content at guessing what to name an object that appears before them in a cave wall. And it's true, when you go down the path of oh, hi, Jay Christopher. When you go down the path of finding what's out there outside of the cave wall that we've been seeing, which is just another allegory of the fourth dimensional cast upon the third dimension. So the idea is that there is, or there might be, this is again just a concept, not necessarily proof, but it doesn't defy the laws of physics. Basically, there exists in a different dimension, we would have to call it a fourth dimension. What it is, we can only guess at this moment. And it's what the shadows of the fourth dimension, we don't know if shadows exist like they do here, if they're two-dimensional shadows. I doubt it. But what's a shadow in the fourth dimension might be a three-dimensional shadow. So the three-dimensional shadow that's projected from it is what we have here on Earth, which is a weird concept. And what the limits are to that, we don't know. If there are limits, obviously we do see limits for two-dimensional shadows, so there probably are limits in the three-dimensional shadows. And when so your shadow, does it exist when there's no light cast upon it, or if there's all light around it? Does that shadow still exist? Or say there's total darkness or total light and there can be no shadow that you see. The next time you step out of that and there's only one or a few light sources where you do get to see your shadow, is that a new shadow? Or is that shadow the same shadow that exists with you at all times, but it just cannot be seen until you you expose yourself to a light source in order to see that shadow? That's just another interesting idea. Now here's something that's pretty cool, and I'm going to rewind it here. Now, what a two-dimensional shadow of a three-dimensional object like a cube, you get to see two outlines. You get to see a square. So if you face the cube a certain way, you'll get 4 sides, 4 points. But if you also angle it, you'll get a hexagon. You'll get 6 sides and 6 points. So a third dimensional object cast upon a two-dimensional plane or shadow will have 2 different forms. Whereas I would guess that a third dimensional shadow from a fourth dimensional object will probably show you 3 or 4, I don't know, different two-dimensional shadows. So watch this. So based on the angle of how you're looking at the two-dimensional shadow, you see the other dimension is hidden. I mean, isn't that pretty wondrous? So all the different angles that you can have is limited by the dimension that we're seeing it in. Excuse me. So there can be a lot hidden within the viewing angle that you have. And so you can probably hide, you can definitely hide a third dimensional object in a two-dimensional view. Same thing you can do with a four-dimensional object within a two-dimensional view. And it's based on the viewing angle. So I would just say that don't limit yourself to two possibilities. Don't limit yourself to a two-dimensional view of, I guess you could say, reality, because there are always more options. There are more things that are out there that you may not be able to see, that I may not be able to see, that others may not be able to see, but it's there. So the case that there has to be a creator to create something. No, we didn't create any of this, at least not me in the physical form that I am now, but I can create. I can cast shadows. But do I create the shadows, or are the shadows always there waiting to be seen once I am in a position of a different viewing angle towards a light source? So there's a lot of questions. And the Big Bang, that we've just all formed from nothing to something, and it continues to keep going infinitely. That in itself is, again, defies the laws of physics. And so this is just the case against either of those two options. There could be a third option. There could be more than just a third option. There could be a lot more. But this is just probably the simplest way of explaining that there are more options that we can't see because we're just thinking in a two-dimensional space. Now there gets to be a point where you can think in a third-dimensional space because, well, we obviously live in a third-dimensional world, but to see, or not, I wouldn't say see, to experience things in a fourth-dimensional space, it would be difficult to grasp, but you can experience it. I've maybe experienced it through ayahuasca experiences. I don't know how to explain it very well, but it's an experience that I've encountered, which I cannot explain, but I can tell others to go and experience it so they might be able to understand in a way where words won't do it justice. Our words, the way that we communicate, is still within a two-dimensional construct. Isn't that funny? Is there a way to communicate within a third-dimensional construct? I don't know. And a fourth-dimensional construct? Wow. That would just probably blow my mind. All right. Anyways, I hope this helps. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave a comment or come on at any time in the description box within YouTube, which I have to upload because my live streams have been taken down from YouTube. But you can also go to Steam it, which I live stream to vim.tv, and within there you'll see the description box. Or if you're watching through Periscope or DLive and you want to join in and also converse with me, just let me know and I'll just go ahead and give you the details on the chat. All right, thank you very much, and we'll see you later.